Good afternoon, colleagues. Welcome to the NCA Party press conference. We'll start with introductions. My name is Madhuku Says. I'm the National Administrator at the NCA Party, and I also speak on behalf of the party. I think the role that most of you know. I'll give my colleagues here to introduce themselves, then I will also introduce you to some NCA leaders who are amongst yourselves.
Okay, my name is Madhuku. I'm the president of the NCA Party.
My name is Madhuku. I'm the vice president of the NCA Party. I hope areas in London, that's where I come from. And the NCA is just an organization.
Okay, thank you, President. Thank you, Vice President. I think amongst you, you also notice that there is Mr. Robert Mutanga, the NCA Treasurer. Then there's also Honorable Mulambo, our candidate for Chipinge East. There's also Honorable Mzameri, our candidate for Kutu Central. So this is a press conference that we called shortly. You understand the reason for the press is that we felt that there's a need for us to address the general public in terms of the vehicles that were given political parties who are in Poland. You understand and agree with me that if you go through the media, it will be as if the vehicle was just given to the NCA or to Professor Madhuku, our president, as some choose to misrepresent. So we thought that there's no need for misrepresentation. We need to account to the public. They need to know our position in terms of these vehicles. So this is why we took this press conference very seriously. You heard Vice President came from Plant yesterday. I just came in Harare, coming from Mashingo, to come for the press conference. So without taking time, we'll give the President time to address. After his address, we'll take any further questions. So over to you, President.
Okay, thank you very much, Madhuku Says, spokesperson, and also thank you, the Vice President, Ngani Mkandla. I'm going to be addressing the issues that are coming up. We are just responding to recent developments in the country. But I should start on behalf of the NCA to make the point that we are living in very difficult times with the third wave and the Delta variant. The NCA has been very, very clear about vaccination. You will know the media. If you go through the media, you'll get pictures of my first jab sometime at the beginning of April this year, and my second jab at the end of April this year. We called upon Zimbabweans to embrace vaccination. And we are doing it again now to encourage all our people to go get vaccinated because of the difficulties that we are facing. But I must also quickly say that the campaign and the encouragement for vaccination is not an opportunity for others to discriminate against those that are not yet vaccinated or to create stigmas against those that are not yet vaccinated. We are going to get there. Everyone is going to get there. But let's go together, and we are calling upon all of Zimbabweans to embrace vaccination. That's the first point that I wish to make as I do. And in fact, also congratulate the efforts by many, particularly the government, in trying to provide the vaccines that are available. I now want to turn to the purpose of this press conference. The purpose of this press conference is just to do two things. The first thing is to deal with the NCA political party and its views on Poland. So it's an NCA position on Poland. It's not a Poland press conference. It is an NCA press conference to explain why the NCA, at this particular point as there is debate, believes that Poland is an appropriate and useful forum. Pollard was created 2019, the beginning of 2019. The president invited the political parties that fielded candidates in the 2018 presidential election. The NCA fielded a candidate in the 2018 presidential election. We accepted the invitation to join Pollard. We are part of Pollard. And we believe, and I must make it clear that as NCA, we believe that Pollard is a useful platform. It is an important platform for this country. It is a way forward for this country. That is the NCA position we are making. Why are we saying that? We are saying so because as NCA we believe that when an election has been contested, there will always be one winner. It doesn't matter whether that winner is at a ward level as a councillor, or is a winner at a constituency level as a member of parliament, or is a winner as a senator, or a winner as president. There will always be a winner. Because there would have been competition, there will always be losers. Some losers will be very good losers, others will be very bad losers. But in every election, there are winners and losers. The NCA believes that for any country to progress, whoever wins an election must take office in terms of the constitution. That is the person who would exercise the functions of a councillor or the functions of an MP or the functions of president. But they must, that's our belief as a party, they must work with their losers. Between an election and the next election, governance must be an affair of those that have won, who are running affairs of state, and working alongside those that have lost elections. And that belief is our belief. We believe that is the way to go. So there must be a Pollard in every ward. So if you win and you are a councillor, in your ward, you are the councillor who is in office. You go to the district or rural district council, or you go to the urban council. But within that ward, you must look out for those that lost elections competing with you. Try to work together. What do I do here? What are your views and so forth? If it is an MP, you have won as an MP, you go to parliament, you will be the one who will be in parliament. But when you get back to your constituency, look out for the losers, those you competed with. Find out how best to develop your constituency. And then if it is at a provincial level, we expect that those who are in the MPs in the province, they must look out for the politicians that lost as you go to the next. Similarly, at national level, if you become president, if I become president, I'll work with the losers. If you become president, work with the losers. That's the belief of the NCA, and that is the philosophy of Pollard. We are going to be marketing Pollard to be taken in every country in Southern Africa. So we'll be marketing Pollard. Every country. Botswana must have a Pollard. The president there must work with the losers. Zambia must have a Pollard. They're having elections next week. The president there must work with the losers. The whole of Africa. This is how Africa would develop. So as NCA, we fully support the philosophy of Pollard. We fully support the approach of Pollard. And we will be in Pollard from now, whatever. If we become the government, we'll work with Pollard. Now, those who are detractors, those I call detractors, that want to be governing this country, if they happen to win, we will insist on Pollard. I think you are hearing me. If you become president and you are not me, you are not Mnangagwa, and you do not want a Pollard, we will force you to have a Pollard in this country. Pollard is not a Mnangagwa baby. It's a very important way of governing affairs of society. The NCA is clear on that. So I want Zimbabweans and other people and voters to know what this party believes in. This party believes in the fact that governance is an affair of those that have won elections and those that have lost elections. That is what governance, and that is what is called good governance. Governance is not about those that win and say, I am on my own and I want to do it on my own. We would not. This is why we embraced President Mnangagwa's invitation to get to Poland. Now, Poland has been doing a lot of things that I wish to make clear. Currently, as we sit here, Poland will be coming up with a comprehensive draft bill on electoral reforms that seek to amend the Electoral Act. We had our last meeting in April, the Poland principles. And in that last meeting we had in April, we actually had 3 civic organizations that came to Poland. We had 2 full days with these civic organizations. I'll mention their names. The first one is the Zimbabwe Election Support Network, ZESNE. They brought a draft bill, and they will confirm that we went through their draft bill. We agreed with a number of their proposals. We have come up with our own proposals. The second organization that was at that meeting is the ERC, the Election Resource Center. It was with us, we discussed with them, and we went. The third organization is a very popular one, the Zimbabwe Lawyers for Human Rights. They were with us for 3 days. The Zimbabwe Lawyers for Human Rights brought the bill on Section 210 on how we can ensure that we actually adopted the bill brought to us by the Zimbabwe Lawyers for Human Rights. And Poland has been engaging the Minister of Justice at the moment. The public will soon see the bills that will be coming through the Poland process. Then they have been meeting. Some of you know that the economic summit that took place, which has so many ideas. Poland must be credited for the various ideas that have been brought to government in terms of stabilization. We will get a particular Poland platform that will discuss and outline the Poland achievements. But let the debate continue. We have also did what I can call detoxification, the point I'm making. Just to make sure that there is not always continuous political polarization. We are very disappointed as a party that there are so many Zimbabweans that still keep wanting to take the country back to a process where you are always, fighting each other, hating each other, hatred and so forth. We are disappointed by that, but we are moving forward. We believe at the end that is. So having said the issues to do with Poland, and we believe in Poland, I come to the issue relating to vehicles that were given out by Poland. The vehicles that have been talked about, they are actually Poland vehicles. That's point number one. Poland vehicles are government vehicles. They are state vehicles. What we were given was a right to use these vehicles for Poland purposes and for the work of our political parties. So we don't own personal vehicles. It was given a right. It's like a right to occupy a government building. If the government says, well, the NCA can come and occupy and use these buildings for your office space, that can happen. Or you come and occupy and so forth. This is not the first time that government is giving us access to this. These vehicles the only step that has been taken is that it's government property that we will have with us. But we have had access to government property. We have our meetings in government buildings. We have our meetings at State House. We go to meetings that are funded by the state, with the hotels that we go to, and so forth. But what was happening with the vehicles, I wish I could make the point, was that since February 2019, when the Poland started, up to now, we were using our vehicles to go to Poland meetings, and then we would get fuel coupons. So you will only get fuel coupons and so on. The meetings will be held in Bulawayo, they will be held in Tare, they will be held all over. We will be driving. And then the government will give us fuel. But what was missing there was that many of us we couldn't afford to continue to have, our vehicles are completely now broken down. If you go around to most of the political parties, because you're using your own vehicles. So they are broken down, government does not give you funding for repairing your vehicles. So that debate was taking place until it became obvious that the best way forward for Poland and what would be cheaper for the people of Zimbabwe, much cheaper for the people of Zimbabwe, is for the Poland principals to use government vehicles. That's what we have. So you use a government vehicle. Instead of you using your own vehicle, you get fuel, your vehicle gets broken, you cannot replace it, but Pollard meetings have to continue. And so that was the basis upon which so the idea that within 3 years, those vehicles will belong to us, that is simply to do with government policy, government programs. It's not unique to Pollard. But at the moment, we do not own any vehicles. We're given access to use government vehicles for both Pollard and our own work, and we fully welcome that move, and we thank the government and we thank President Mnangagwa for that decision to allow Pollard to use. I must not mince my words on that point, that we fully embrace that it is useful for us. Now, I want to address the issue of, so are you then going to be using these government vehicles to build your parties? Use these government vehicles? The answer is yes. That we will use the government vehicles to build our parties. And that there is nothing wrong with that. And I have brought for the first time a copy of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. Just to make the point, which I want to read, and I want to encourage you to do so as well. So I'm not the first one to come to a press conference with a copy of the Constitution. So I'm going to do that, a copy of the Constitution. And I'm sure I'm going to follow them and also waive it and say that this is the Constitution of Zimbabwe. I'm going to read section 67, subsection 4 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. So journalists, please take note. Section 67, subsection 4 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. It says, for the purpose of promoting multi-party democracy, an act of parliament must provide for the funding of political parties. That's what our Constitution says. It says that in subsection 4. Subsection 4 closes all the subsections. It starts with a section that says every Zimbabwean citizen has a right to form, to join, and to participate in the activities of a political party or organization of their choice. Once you exercise that freedom, then the state must fund you. That's what our Constitution says. The Constitution starts by giving every citizen a right to join or form a party of their choice. Once they form the party of their choice, the next thing is that the state must make a mechanism to fund political parties. Now, the current act, which is in the process of being amended, provides one method of funding political parties. If you participate in an election and you get 5% of the votes, you get funding, which is what has been happening for a very long time here. But that is not the only way in which political parties will be funded under our Constitution. And this is what I've been hearing people writing and so on, saying, no, you didn't get 5%, You don't have to have 5% to have the right to form or to join a political party. It's not us, it's not me. It's the people of Zimbabwe who said, look, each one of us has a right to form, to join, and to participate in the political activities of a party of your choice. Once you exercise that choice, there must be a mechanism. So Pollard is a government program in the sense that the president of the day, who was elected and installed as president, decided that he will work with losers. We are losers when it comes to the 2018 election. But we are saying that once you are a loser, that is not the end of the matter. You have an opportunity to work with the winner. I hope I make it clear. That's the NCA philosophy. You are a loser. If you get an opportunity to work with the winner, we will embrace it. We embraced it. Once you work with the winner, it's a government program. And that government program must be funded. Pollard satisfies section 67, subsection 4 of the Constitution. Is to promote a multi-party democracy. I want to finally say to all of you and to Zimbabweans, it is deliberate for our Constitution to use the word multi. It says multi-party. I think that's what you hear. The other word is one party. The other one is bi-party. And then there is multi-party. Multi-party, multi means more than two. So you'll see that our constitution wants us to have more than 2 political parties. The NCA does not want a situation which we have seen before, where people will say that you are either there and there, so that these parties that were there, the dominant political parties, they were winning by default. If you don't want this one, you vote that one. If you don't want this one, you vote that one. That can't be a democracy, etc. So just I wanted to explain the point that we believe in Pollard, and that Pollard is a good thing for the country. We must all promote Pollard thinking. Winners must work with losers. That's the point we are making. And this is going to be permanent. We are going to work to make sure that it becomes permanent in the country. That's our philosophy. If I may address some criticisms that have come personally to me and personally to the NCA. Some people have said, which is part of what we want to do, they've said that you are selling out. I think that has been said. You are selling out in receiving a vehicle. One was saying that you are selling out because you are receiving a vehicle from Mnangagwa. I think that we made that very clear that Mnangagwa did not have any vehicle. He doesn't own any vehicle. The vehicles that we have and the vehicles we are using are government vehicles. They are state vehicles. And that we believe that the majority of Zimbabweans support that initiative. Unless anyone carries out a referendum that says that the majority of Zimbabweans say that Pollard people must not use government vehicles, then we will listen. But we were not going to be listening to an idea which is simply the opposite. We believe that we are entitled to use these vehicles. We would actually be campaigning for more vehicles for our party. And because with one vehicle, surely, it is not enough because it will be used by the president. I'm the one who will be driving the vehicle and so but we would expect not a minimum of 3 vehicles. And so that's the only way we can push through the agenda of ensuring that our party is known everywhere. Now with that vehicle that I have, which I'm using for the NCA, is parked outside. You will see that. My next trip is to Gogwe. I'm going to Gogwe in the next 3 days. A place that I have not been able to visit for the past 3 years. But I have people in Gogwe who actually want me, who actually support the NCA. I have never interacted with them. I'll go to places, I can give you a list of the places where I know there are people that say, look, we want Love More Madhuku here. But the reason why Love More Madhuku could not get their votes in 2018 was because Love More Madhuku never accessed them. And even here, I don't think I'll get 0 among you. So I have thousands of people out there. I can assure you here that if there's any vehicle that is going to be broken first, it's likely to be mine. Which is why I understand there was a lot of attacking as if I was the only recipient. I accept that you focused, the people focused on me. But they will know that I'm going to be using that vehicle. Sooner or later, you will hear people in Togo telling you that we saw Madhuku with his Pollard vehicle. You will hear people in some corner of the country, in Rwanda, telling you that they saw Love More Madhuku with a Pollard. I'm going to use that vehicle to build the NCA. I am entitled to use that vehicle to build the NCA and to market Pollard. Now, imagine me going in every corner of the country saying, look, winners must work with losers. That's our philosophy. And that is why those vehicles are there. Pollard wants to spread the message that for Zimbabwe to progress, winners must work with losers. And we need vehicles for that purpose. There was an Afrobarometer survey, which without the vehicles, we were able to get 20-something% of people saying they support Pollard. With the vehicles, 77% of the people in the next survey will be telling you that they support Pollard. That's the reason for the vehicles. So I think just for us to make clear to you why these vehicles are there. They are helpful for the country. This country must move to that particular stage. So I cannot be said to have sold out. And if I may just to wind up, say this. People who say that Love More Madhuku has sold out, I think they were saying it some 5-6 years ago. First, when in 2013, I decided with the NCA that we were going to campaign for a no vote to the Constitution. I was told that I had sold out. Because those people who were saying I sold out at that time were telling people that this is the best Constitution ever. This one. I don't believe that. Although I was able to pick clauses there, and from time to time I pick good clauses for my clients from this Constitution. But they said I sold out because I campaigned for no vote, and I campaigned for a no vote. 5.5% of Zimbabweans followed us and voted no. Then the next time we formed the NCA into a political party because we were opposed to our colleagues that we thought they'd definitely sold out. Once informing an NCA, you have sold out. And so I keep selling out, but somehow they forget. When something happens, they forget that I had sold out already. Then they say, yes, sold out. When I became a member of the Montante Commission, 7 members in that commission, we went to do some very good work. We made recommendations which people still want to say that they must be implemented. But in joining the commission, Madhuku had sold out. Every step I sell out. And somewhat I continue to sell out. Now please, let me tell these people, I have taken the vehicle, I'm going to campaign for more vehicles for the NCA. If I have sold out now, I have sold out now. Ngatingo, it disagree on that platform. And that I'm going to be campaigning for this philosophy. Winners must work with losers. For Africa to develop, winners must work with losers. And Africa will go in its own democracy. The Western world, which has an entrenched democracy, they had other methods there. And you know that winners and losers in the West, they work along very well. President Trump left the office. He's somewhat enjoying himself in some place in the United States. You know that. And that he's preparing to come back. That's what we're reading. But there's no animosity that kills that country. But in this country, we have people that believe that they must bring down. So this is why we are in Poland, and I think I've made my point clear. And that the NCA is in Poland for the reason that winners must work with losers. And that as NCA, we are going to be spreading that philosophy at the ward level, at the constituency level, at the provincial level, and at the national level. You know, if you are a winner somewhere in any of those spaces, look for your losers and work with them to build your ward. If you are a winner somewhere, look for your losers and work with them. Even when you have a church, and there are elections in a church, and you win as a bishop, work with your losers. If you are the chairperson of Dynamos, where I'm sure there are also elections there, I know. If you win, work with your losers to build your club. And that, what is wrong with that, surely, Zimbabweans? What is wrong with that, the world? But then, of course, there is some support that is required, and that support comes with vehicles. And I should make clear, as I've said, we want more as NCA, more vehicles. And this one, because it's just for the president, we want more vehicles. And that is good because of Section 67, subsection 4 of the Constitution. I think I'm done, unless there's something that, I've talked about Poland reforms. I've talked about the fact that Poland is going to be a good thing. We will be decided, and I think I've seen the questions. I also know, I think, let me complete that point. When the elections come in 2023, a voter is entitled to say, this is Lovemore Madhuku. He was in Poland. I didn't like Poland. I'm not going to vote for him. They're entitled to do that. But I know that there are voters, and there are voters who are going to say, this is Lovemore Madhuku. He was in Poland. He preached the gospel of winners working with losers. He was working with Mnangagwa for the 4 years, and as a loser, Mnangagwa is a winner. But ultimately, the winner is one who decides the way forward. They will also vote for me. And that's democracy. And that's democracy. If some people want to gain votes because they are not in Poland. I saw Hopewell Chingona campaigning for Chamisa. And that's what he does on his Twitter pages and so forth. He is entitled to campaign for Chamisa. I'm sure he is also entitled to criticize us. But we know that the game is just politics. it's not that he has more love for Zimbabwe. And no, but he was the first one to want to be seen, and it must be very clear. And I say my message to Hopewell. I am Love Mo Madhuku, I lead the NCA, I love Zimbabwe, and I believe that Pollard is right. You don't believe that Pollard is right. Campaign for your candidates. And that is correct. But no Zimbabwean must hide behind a social media platform to be more Zimbabwean than others, to be more loving the country than others. We have also gone through a long way, and I believe people who say, Madhuku did this, he did it very well, but now I'm still the same Love Mo Madhuku who was left for dead on several occasions. The same Love Mo Madhuku of 11 March 2007. The same Love Mo Madhuku who worked hard for this country, somewhat to have sensitivity that they needed a new constitution. And that is the same Love Mo Madhuku who is saying that Pollard is a good platform and that winners must work with losers. And in doing so, I love my country. And I think I should also I'm entitled to react as I close emotionally and say that those who think that they love this country more than me, I think they must respect me. I also love this country, and I have different views. That's why I've picked on Hopewell, because I am prepared to engage with him further, even if it goes on whatever the outcome of that. I will prepare to engage with Hopewell and say that you do not love this country more than me. But don't tell the world that this one is treacherous and so forth. I mean, who will have the monopoly to pick on individual Zimbabweans and say these are sellouts? You are not a sellout. We sell out. That's not the kind of country that we want. We want to build a politics. We are all part of this country. And I'm going to have that we popularized a people-driven constitution. We are going to be popularizing winners must work with losers. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you, President. Winners must work with losers. So we're now going to take questions. The way we will do it is that if you are the one who wants to ask a question, you say out your name, you also say out the media house that you are coming from, then you ask your question. So far I'm just seeing one hand up, so we'll deal with that hand.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Tafadzwa Nyikadzino. I'm a freelance journalist. Now, Professor, let us talk about issues in a more honest way. You said since its inception, Pollard is working on a bill to amend electoral reforms. Fine. You also say that it is working to try and end political polarization. So on point number one, why this late? Pollard has been around for a while now, and today you are talking about you wanting to come up with a bill to amend electoral reforms. Considering that we are almost 1 year away from elections, isn't that too late for you to be doing that? And then secondly, you said you're working on trying to end political polarization, but we all know that political polarization is coming from two big parties in Zimbabwe, ZANU-PF and MDC. Parties which both of Pollard principles were to combine their numbers of followers. They will not even make a third, even only a fifth of the numbers that these two acrimonious parties have. So, what are the odds of you succeeding in bringing Zimbabweans together with such low numbers of followers that you have?
Okay, I think I should answer this second one very quickly. You are basing your analysis on 2018.
Yes, the results of the 2018.
But this is 2021. You cannot say that. You can't say that what happened in 2018 is, there's no basis for that analysis. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you call it science or social science. You cannot rely on an event that happened on 30 July 2018. People voted the way you are talking about. But as we sit today, that is not the configuration in the country. And I want to challenge you to show that that is different. So by 2023, those people you see in Pollard will garner, if not the majority of the votes, close to a majority of the votes. I don't think that this debate of going back and saying, you know, you got 0.00, you think I still have 0.01% of this people? What sort of analysis is that? So it happened in 2018, and I'm not going to allow a thing where I would have to disagree with you. The configuration of the electoral contest in 2018, it came, it went. At this moment, call an election now. Call it. And let's see the configuration. I mean, I've seen people, I mean, like the party are saying the big politics. Which party are you referring to?
Because an MDC.
No, there's no MDC. We used to have an MDC alliance. There's a party that is led by Douglas Monson. There's a party that is led by Nelson Chambliss. And which one? You are, I think from the questioning, you keep following that component. That party has no MPs. I mean, they went to an election in 2018. As we speak, they have no MPs at the moment. If you are to be honest, and you said you want an honest discussion,
yes.
Just point to me which MP in Parliament is Chamisa's MP. I mean, just give me a name.
You're only picking Nelson Chambliss. I also talked about ZANU PF.
No, I'm going.
These are.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
I think I gave you an opportunity to ask your question. If you are not satisfied, I will give you another chance. There are other people who also want to ask questions. So I'll come back to you if you think that. But for now, I think you answered that question.
He hasn't answered.
Yeah, if you are not answered, okay.
Let me answer. I think that
you can be.
I'm sorry for the thing here. I'm not focused. I wanted to deal with your argument that there are two big political parties. And that I'm just telling you that the electoral contest of 2018 is gone. Why I'm not talking about ZANU, the purpose of the election was to produce a government and a parliament. So once the elections have gone, we know that the only result of that election, which is permanent, is the fact that we have a president who came out of it. But you cannot keep then focusing on the various, those are irrelevant, the various levels of opposition, losing and so on. It's not a, but the only result of an election, I hope I am correct on that point. The only value of an election is to tell you who the winner is. And when an election does that, it has done its purpose. And then the rest year configuration, we disagree with you. And I want to challenge you as NCA, let's go to the next election. And we won't want to be judged by. Then the issue about it has taken too long for us to get to the electoral reforms and other things and so on. We agree. It's because Pollard is not a walk in the park. There are those who think that Pollard is about receiving what I think, whether it's, some words I'm reading on social media, I don't know whether they're English words or not, that we are there to be receiving. That's not. Pollard is a place where you fight. We've lost a lot of veterans within Pollard, but we still believe in Pollard. So it has been slow because government itself has not fully embraced it. It's taking slowly, but we know that we will succeed. Pollard involves fights. That's my answer to your question.
Fine, so I think the answer is clear. There are no good or bad losers. Losers are just losers. They must work with what? The winners, right? I will take this set of questions, 1, 2, 3. Then we just ask the president will then just answer all the 3 questions.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Bruno Rosendorf. I'm a correspondent for Voice of America. Professor, your critics argue that you have been pampered with cars by President Mnangagwa's government, yet there are no medicines in hospitals and people are suffering out there. And they argue that you are enabling the suffering of the masses because you have chosen to take these freebies, yet there are no resources in hospitals, in the education sector, and in other sectors. What will be your response to that?
Well, thank you for that question. The next question, it was here. Yes.
Edwin Jagachira, an ordinary citizen from Bikita. I just wanted to say that how comfortable is the car, considering that you'll be using it off-road as you'll be growing up your structures?
All right. The next question was here. Yes.
Thank you, Professor. My name is Gibson Yugadzina. I'm a freelance journalist. I wanted to ask you about the issue of Pollard, you receiving the car. Isn't it you feel that you have fizzled the momentum you had previously when you started the movement in 1998, and up to now you have fizzled out, you have lost the momentum, hence you are embracing Pollard and maybe the freebies as explained by others as a way of acknowledging the realities that are happening in Zimbabwe's political space, that once in opposition, if you are co-opted, you sort of endorse in the name of losers working with winners. What's your response?
Okay, so thanks for those 3 questions. The President can now respond.
Okay, thank you very much. The question that says that when we get a vehicle like the one that we're using, then we are taking away that vehicle from being an ambulance. That's the question that you are posing,
Yes.
and so forth. I think everyone would agree with me that that kind of analysis is totally awkward, in the sense that we accept that things have not improved in some areas, like you still need hospitals to be fully equipped and so forth. But that does not mean that we will not be able to use vehicles or to get them without transport, or we don't get to do anything else. I believe that with the vehicles that we are getting, the vehicles are, as I said, using government vehicles to promote Pollard work and promote our work. Once we have that vehicle, you are likely to get more ambulances from the work that is coming from that vehicle. And then the other question, you're saying that we have lost the momentum and so forth. I think it is coming from a misunderstanding that these vehicles are coming from ZANU-PF. I think that's the misunderstanding. These are government vehicles that are being made available for a government program. And that government program is a dialogue program that encourages a particular thinking. And I don't think that, I don't agree with the analysis that we are phasing out. You're seeing me working more, and I'm now having the philosophy that we must create a country where we encourage each other, we find each other in between elections, let's work together, and so forth. We are not saying support the government of the day. We are saying you work with the government of the day. But we don't have to support the government initiative. But you work with them, you exchange ideas with them for the sake of the country. That's what we are saying. And that is not, I think it's if anything, it's an improvement of our politics. That's how I would say it. Then the car is very comfortable for use in the rural areas. You can see it outside. I think we will. I think that's a question which shows, as I've said, we will use it, the car, for that purpose. We will certainly use it.
All right, we will take the last set of questions if there are still any. The last set. I also know that some of you want specific interviews. So even after the press conference, the president will also be here for a while to give you specific kind of interviews. I know some will want that kind of interaction. He will be here shortly, I think, for the next 2 or 3 minutes. Yeah. But if you don't have any questions, I will give the president just to close before we end the press.
Yes. In my closing, I just want to thank you very much for giving us access to the world, and that we will continue to use these platforms to put across our ideas, and that some of our ideas may not be accepted by other people, but it's important that people know what we think, so that they judge us on the basis of our ideas. If you believe that what I have been saying throughout was completely useless, then you judge me on the basis of that. That's the importance of the kind of interactions we are having. And I also want to explain that, unfortunately, sometimes it comes out as if we are an independent party, which is a standalone party. We will oppose ZANU-PF and we will oppose other parties, which are not NCA. So when you see us criticizing other people, I'm just doing the journalist who thought I was at, we are going to be doing that because our space is not the same space as the other parties. There is no rule that says, look, you don't criticize each other. I mean, we stand on our own, and this is what I hope you understand. And I'll continue to come and interact with you. Please feel free to keep engaging us and put across these ideas that we are coming up. And we expect people to judge us on the basis of what we are saying. Thank you very much.
Right, this takes us to the end of the press conference. Thank you, colleagues, for coming. We will be here to take any other personal interviews that may